So today on BKRsport, we're back here for another season review of a different team. We're going through all 17 different NRL clubs in the 2023 season, seeing if they went up, went down, what went right, what went wrong, and obviously we've been starting out with these teams down the lower end of the table, and obviously a lot has gone wrong down here. We're going to be looking at some players, who might have still shone in the team, despite the fact that overall, as a collective, the team didn't do too well, because there is always professional players here. Well, they're all professional players actually, just comparatively to other teams and other players, they don't come together as well. But there definitely is still some absolute quality players that people do need to take notice of, despite their ladder position. And today, guys, we are jumping into the Canterbury Bulldogs, which is a very polarizing team here because they've got a really loud fan base who love their team. They're passionate for their team. And every single year, you start to get this real hype for them. You start to really believe in them because their fans are so passionate. And you gotta love that. However, unfortunately, you do need to kind of look through that when you're not a Bulldogs fan to really understand kind of where they're at. It was really difficult in the off-season that just went, where a lot of people were saying this team could be a top 8 team. A lot of people were saying all these new signings, they're starting to come together. And I just didn't personally see it. I saw that there was still quite a few holes in the team. And personally, for me, I thought the Bulldogs signed players of want rather than need in positions where they actually needed to really progress where they are at as a club. It still wasn't exactly that great. I didn't believe as much of the hype. Now, last year, they came in 12th position. This year, they came in 15th. So they actually dropped off from last year. There was a lot of faith in them from last year coming to this year with the new signings. But unfortunately, it just didn't pan out. And they actually finished in the bottom 4 again. Well, not again, sorry, because they didn't finish bottom 4 last year. They finished in the bottom 3. They had 7 wins this year compared to 7 wins last year. So I guess that also kind of does tell you that the overall competition of the entirety of the NRL actually rose because they dropped 3 spots. However, they won the exact same amount of games. So not great there at all. However, a little bit of an excuse there that the competition overall did progress a lot. In 2023, they brought in a brand new coach of Cameron Ciraldo, a guy that no one really kind of knew a great deal about, but Gus Gould was very happy to really push behind the scenes and say that he's going to be the next big thing. And look, I think that the expectations on him for his first year may be a little bit too high there, and he may be getting a lot of harsh criticism. However, you look at the points differential and it's got minus 331, which was actually the worst points differential by a decent little bit on the Tigers, who were 17th. They had minus 290, and the Dragons minus 199, who were in third last there. And then obviously you go to the Raiders, who made the top 8. So even with points differential being awful, you can actually still make the top 8. But the Bulldogs, unfortunately, their awful was really, really bad. Like when they would lose games, they would lose them massively. And obviously, as you saw, the 7 wins, not that great. Now, they do obviously have that new coach, Cameron Ciraldo. They brought in a heap of talent there, and they're still progressing to bring in more talent next season, which is a good sign, but also, hopefully, it's the right signings again. But they overwhelmingly disappointed in 2023. So much so, where Willie Mason was actually happy for his fans to boo the team that he represents and that he actually coaches a part of. Willie Mason was happy for his own fans to boo the team. And I think that tells you a lot right now. Now, they actually started off the season pretty well, and they were giving quite a little bit of hope to the Doggies fans, especially after their win against Melbourne. But they did obviously get pumped by Manly in that first game. Then they beat Melbourne, the Tigers, and the Cowboys. But then reality hit. They got smacked by the Rabbitohs, by the Eels, and the Sharks, which really brought them back down to earth. I do think that, look, overall throughout the season, it really just never was able to eventuate due to a lot of the injuries early on in the year as well. They did have quite a few. There was quite a few teams that were on similar wavelengths. My team, the Gold Coast Titans, was very similar with injuries early on, which does stunt that progression. And I guess that Dogs fans could look back at the beginning of the season and say, hey, well, we might have actually had a better year if we didn't have all these injuries that then stunted the growth and we weren't able to move through from there. But it was good to see Jacob Preston this season. Jacob Preston was a real big, star from the Doggies in this season. Kind of out of nowhere, to be honest with you, but it was just so phenomenal. For a rookie to come in and have such an impact like Jacob Preston did was really, really great for the club, especially when the new recruits of Viliami Kikau and Reid Marnie had less than impressive seasons for sure. I'm going to give you a stat here that is pretty wild. They conceded 328 points in just 8 matches in the middle of the season. 328 points in 8 matches in the middle part of the season and conceded 693 points in total. That is an insane amount. Like, that amount is very difficult to see the future from, because that's awful defense. You can't be giving up those kind of numbers. That's the worst defense across the league. And gone are the days of the dogs of war mentality that the Bulldogs had, 10, 20, 30 years ago. They were known as a real defensive-minded club, and obviously this has gone away at the moment. And, the attack isn't that fantastic, despite the addition of Addo Khan in recent years. And even though that's just a winger, like, people really overrate the utter importance of wingers. Like, wingers ultimately get the ball due to their inside men, whether it be their centres or their halves or their hooker, right? So, Addo-Carr's doing what he can, just defensively, maybe not so great, but then again, the whole team is not so great defensively. So, they're not really a key, there's no real key area of this Bulldogs team for me right now. Are they good in attack? Are they good in defence? Are they really balanced? I don't really know how to answer that on all accounts in a positive way. Overall, you could make an argument that throughout the course of the season, obviously they deserve to be in third last, but you could make the argument that this team was the hardest and arguably the worst team in 2023. I saw some positives out of the Tigers. I didn't really see any positive out of the Dragons, as you guys saw. And I struggle to find the positives from this season for the Bulldogs as well. And especially considering their points differential of minus 331 plus the 769 points that they did concede there. I just realized, they actually conceded 769 points that season, not 693. So, even worse. Wowee. I got that wrong and I thought it was a little bit better. That's really frustrating. But look, you could make an argument across the entire season that they could be the worst team in 2023. That doesn't mean that I think they're last for going into the future. I do think they have a better future than a lot of these other clubs down here. They are trying to rectify their mistakes and they are trying to build for the future, but this year just wasn't it. This year just was not a good place for them to set that foundation. So maybe next year will be the real foundation and platform for them to go up and go ahead. But, I wouldn't go into next season with unbelievable expectations. But even though there is technically this stat going around where 74, they made the grand final, lost. 84, they made the grand final, won. 94, lost. 2004, won. 2014 lost, and then obviously next year is 2024, so they should make it and win the grand final, right? I highly doubt that, but stats are stats, right? That is the actual stat of it all. I think for me, this is just a wash it away year. Dogs fans, forget about 2023. Hopefully you can improve going into next year. You do have Stephen Crichton coming in. Hopefully there is a lot more consistency with the playing group in regards to injuries, which is unavoidable, man. It's all part of the game, man. But, when you come to the big teams and the winning teams, the successful teams, it always does come down to who's the healthiest, right? And the Dogs do have some quality players on this roster, but they are still struggling in the halves department. Reed Money needs to get back to his Parramatta form. Their fullback is still a little bit of a struggle as well. They've lost Jake Averillo as well to the Dolphins, I believe, but they've got Crichton coming in. But does he play fullback or does he play centres? I don't really know. They've still got a lot of question marks around this team, and they do need their forwards to turn it up a lot more in 2024. They need their forwards to turn it up a lot more because they do have some pretty damn well good forwards amongst their roster as well. But for me, unfortunately, Dogs fans, I am going to have to give you an F. I don't think that 2023 was your year whatsoever. But hopefully, it does change going into the future. But guys, that's going to be my review there of the Canterbury Bulldogs. Tomorrow, we're going to be chucking up the Redcliffe Dolphins. Now, it's going to be up early because we do have the preliminary final tomorrow night between the Storm and the Panthers. So that's going to be going up at like 8 a.m. in the morning for the Dolphins. Hope you guys do enjoy that, but I hope you guys have enjoyed this. So hit that thumbs up button, subscribe if you're new around here, comment below your thoughts of what happened in the Dogs season. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? It's all down to opinion, right? And this is just my opinion. But do let us know what your thoughts are, and if I'm completely wrong or right, I appreciate you. Alrighty guys, thanks for watching. Catch you later. Boo! See ya!